All right, it's recording.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see what
Let's
works
hope
this
it
time.
stays.
Okay. All right. So session 2. What we're gonna do is we are going to work on our. We're gonna read a little bit more of our book for our fluency. We're gonna do our morphological analysis to look at root words and how they work together to help us kind of read more fluently. And so when we get across a word that might have a root word, how we can attack it. And then we're going to read another, we're going to continue our text structure discussion, read another article, kind of review our sequence text structures, and read another article that has sequence in it, and try to kind of identify the parts to help us understand the article better, okay? So let's grab our book. Let's read a little bit more of that. And I want to go make sure that is still video recording. Because I thought I did it right the first time. Yeah, it's still going. We'll see. Okay.
I wonder if you clicked it and
I
clicked it again.
I know. I'm so bummed. Okay. All right, it's fine.
Okay, I think I ended here.
Yes.
Okay.
So we had just been introduced to Richard. Yes.
Okay. We have exactly 21 days to get Mom ready for the game show. So instead of watching television, I'm copying words for her practice session tonight. I write each word on white index cards Mom swiped from work. When I have 7 words, I bind the cards together with a rubber band she also swiped from work. I hear Mom's keys in the door and flip over my word piles so she can't peek. Miranda? She chomps down the hall. Clomps down the hall. She's on the clog kick lately. She sticks her head in my room. Are you starving? I thought we'd hold dinner for Richard. I can't wait. The truth is, I've just eaten. I can wait. Oh, I can wait. The truth is, I've just eaten an entire bag of cheese doodles. After school, junk food is an other fundamental right of the latchkey kid. I'm sure this is true in Germany too. You're sure you're not hungry? Want me to cut up an apple for you? What's a kind of German junk food? I asked. Wiener Krispies? She stares at me. I have no idea. Why do you ask? No reason. Do you want the apple or not? No. And get out of here. I'm doing the words for later. Great. She smiles and reaches into her coat pocket. Catch. She lobs something toward me, and I grab what turns out to be a bundle of brand new markers in rainbow colors, held together with a fat rubber band. She clomps back toward the kitchen. Richard and I figured out a while ago that the more stuff Mom swipes from the office supply closet, the more she's hating work. I look at the markers for a second and then get back to the word piles. Mom has to win this month.
Okay. What does that tell us?
That she doesn't like what she's doing and she's taking it for herself.
Okay. So Mom doesn't like what she's doing, doesn't like her job, she's taking stuff from work. And then what about that last part?
That she may be poor and she needs the money.
Yeah, so maybe why else is she taking markers from those office supply closet at work?
Because she's poor.
And so instead of
taking it for herself, she wants to have it because she doesn't have that at home.
Right, and so she gets it for her daughter. And so instead, what's the normal way to do this?
Just go out and
buy it. But instead, she's taking it from work. Okay, so we learn a couple things right away about the mom character. All right, let's keep going.
Things you hide. I was named after a criminal. Mom says that's a dramatic way of looking at things, but sometimes the truth is dramatic. The name Miranda stands for people's rights. She said last fall, when I was upset because Robbie B. had told me during gym that I was named after a kidnapper. I had left my keys at school and waited 2.5 hours at Bell's Market on Amsterdam Avenue for Mom to get home from work. I didn't mind the waiting so much. I helped Belle out around the store for a while, and I had my book, of course. Still reading the same book? Belle asked, once I had settled into my folding chair next to the cash register to read. It's looking pretty beat up. I'm not still reading it, I told her. I'm reading it again. I had probably read it 100 times, which is why looked so beat up. Why it looked so beat up. Okay, Belle said. So let's hear something about this book. What's the first line? I never judge a book by the cover, she said. I judge by the first line. I knew the first line of the book without even looking. It was a dark and stormy night, I said. She nodded. Classic. I like that. What's the story about? I thought for a second. It's about a girl named Meg. Her dad is missing, and she's goes on a trip to another planet to save him. And does she have a boyfriend? Sort of, I said. But that's not really the point. How old is she? 12. The truth is that my book doesn't say how old Meg is, but I am 12, so she feels 12 to me. When I first got the book, I was 11, and she felt 11. Oh, 12, Belle said. Plenty of time for boyfriends, then. Why don't you start from the beginning? Start what from the beginning? The story. Tell me the story from the beginning. So I started telling her the story of my book, not reading it to her, just telling her about it, starting with the first scene where Meg wakes up at night afraid of a thunderstorm. While she listened, Belle made me a turkey sandwich and gave me about 10 chewable vitamin C's because she thought I sounded nasal. When she went to the bathroom, I sneaked a little bunch of grapes, which I love but can't ever have because Mom doesn't like the way the grape pickers are treated in California, and she refuses to buy them.
Okay, so we'll pause there for a second. 2 things. What do we learn about this woman, Belle?
Belle is her friend.
Okay.
And she's like waiting with her as as Miranda's waiting for her mom to pick her up.
Right. So is Belle her age, Miranda's age, or more like an adult?
Her age.
Let's see. I helped Belle out around the store for a while, and I had my book. So, do we know who Belle is?
No.
I guess we're unsure at the moment. But let's read this part. What might tell us about her age here? While she listened, Belle made me a turkey sandwich and gave me about 10 chewable vitamin C's because she thought I sounded nasal. What does this scene tell us about Belle? What does she do for her? What does she do for Miranda?
She's making her food.
She made her a sandwich. What else did she do?
Gave her vitamins.
Vitamins because why?
She sounded nasal.
What does that mean to sound nasal?
Like, in a nose, she made you like sick.
When you're like this, and you sound sick. So, would your best friend give you 10 vitamin C chewables, or would more of an adult do that?
More of an adult.
Okay, so keep that in mind, because maybe we're wrong, but that's probably an adult, right? So those are tiny little things that you have to pick up on while you're reading and help us learn about the characters. Characterization. I love characterization. I can talk all day about it. Okay, good reading. We'll keep moving.
Oh, keep going?
No.
Oh, okay.
We'll be done with that part. Good fluency. You're still stopping and fixing things when you get to them, which is great. Because you notice that there's something like off.
Yeah, I'm like, this doesn't sound right.
That's exactly it. That's perfect. All right. So next, morphological stuff. We're gonna go back to it. So we've worked on a couple different roots. So we've got one more set of roots to look at. So let's look up these words. So we've got, what's that first word say?
Excuse me, photosynthesis.
Yeah. Now you might know this off the top of your head. What is photosynthesis?
Like the plant. It's the plant. Okay, I'll just read it.
Okay.
Like I know what it is. It's like the plant eating.
It does. Yeah.
Okay, but
How? You're right. You're close.
The process by which green plants and some other organisms use light to To synthesize food from carbon dioxide and water.
Okay. So they make food. So plants make food from sunlight. That's your definition. So let's first start with that.
Still good?
It's still good. Not sure what happened the first time. Okay. So now let's look up photocopy. Now again, do you know this one off the top of your head?
No.
Okay, so we'll look up photocopy. There we go. What's it say?
Photographic copy of printed or written material produced by a process involves the action of light on a on a specially prepared surface.
Okay, so it's a photographic copy. So it's a copy
Of
of printed or written material produced by a process involving the action of light on a specially decided surface. So photocopy is
a material by light.
what do you make a
Copy
by?
light.
Okay. Okay, so now what's my root word in both of those?
Photo.
Okay. Do you know any photo words? Words that contain that root? And we can look up more.
Like a photograph.
Photograph. Perfect. Let's write that down. And now, do you know how an actual photograph is made?
There's like inks put in.
Let's look up the definition, yeah? Because this is old
Yeah.
school. This is actually based on the old. Like
Well,
nowadays,
I
with
know
digital,
that
it's different,
I
right?
know that they used to have like a camera, and like once you take it, like you can't
Yeah.
go and look
Oh
at
my
it.
God, you're so young.
And then they would have to
Yes.
go to the store, and it's like in one of
Yes.
those
Do you know what we
things.
call that?
No.
That's film. So cameras would
I
have
didn't know that
film.
was also called.
That's called film. So let's read the definition of what
Okay.
officially what the photograph is, but then we'll kind of keep talking about it.
Picture made using a camera in which.
Uh-oh.
A picture made using a camera in which an image is focused onto film or other light-sensitive material and then made visible and permanent by chemical treatment and sorted.
Okay. So the film becomes a picture by doing what?
By taking it like
By
from the
what?
camera.
That's true, but what does the camera do? What's the part that's important? Think about our other two words. It's important about making a photograph. A picture made using a camera, okay, in which an image is focused onto film or other light-sensitive material.
So by using light and chemical.
Yes, by using light and chemicals, we can take a
So
picture.
picture made with light and chemical.
I like that. I think that's a good definition. So essentially, have you ever seen one of those? Probably not. They're like disposable cameras,
Yeah.
and you like turn the thing, and it goes to the next one. You can take it.
Yeah.
So what that's turning is the film
To get it to the next picture.
to get it to the next like film that's blank, right? And so when you take the picture, it snaps, and in that moment, enough light opens up and it hits the film, and whatever the light is looking at, that's what goes on the film, and then it closes again. Because if you leave it open, the film gets ruined and it doesn't take any. It would just be a big white blob. But in that moment, the light that's exposed gets on the film, and then you would take that film and you would use all these different chemicals. And have you ever seen in movies where they're like moving around pictures in like some kind of liquid? That's like chemical liquid, and the picture develops. That's what we call like film developing. Like, I mean, and your generation has no idea about this because we just have digital cameras. We just go and we take our phone.
Other than like a Polaroid camera.
Right. So, anyway, so this is kind of this
Kinda
term
knew
photograph has now shifted because really the original meaning has to do with what? What do all three of those words have in common?
Like making of something, like of the object.
How though?
Like made from, well, this one has light They're all light.
Okay. So all three. What's my root word that we're looking at here? Photo. And all three definitions have to do with
making of light.
Sunlight. From light. Something with light, right? Photosynthesis, making food from light. Photocopy, making a copy of something using light. Photograph, making a picture of something with light. Okay? So that root word, when you see photo, again, if you come across a word that you're unsure of, but you see that root photo in there, what do you now know? It has to do with something with light. Got it. Okay? Perfect. So we'll keep working on our roots. All right. Let's go through these really quick. Okay. All right, so these are from our last two sessions. Root words that we were working on. Ready?
Okay. Important.
What's my root word? Port. Oh.
Deport.
What's my root?
Port.
Yeah.
I think that happened last time.
Sorry.
You're fine. Choreograph.
Choreograph.
Graph.
Graph.
Seaport. Port. Paragraph. Graph. And homograph.
Good job. Yes. And now let's go back to, let's look at seaport really quick. Do you remember what port meant? What were our examples last week? Or last time? We had portable,
transport, and import.
And all of those had to do with doing what?
Moving
or carrying something, right? So a seaport, what do you think a seaport might mean?
Makes me want to think like moving across like the sea.
Perfect. Yeah, it has to do with moving things across the sea, a seaport. Or think about what's another word that ends with port that we know very well. Not sea, but when you went to North Carolina, you probably went there first. Or Amelia Earhart would be there all the time.
The airport.
The airport, right. And so the airport means
to move from the air.
Move by the air. You got it. Good. So that's how roots, knowledge of roots can help us inform words that we're unsure of, right? Okay. Good. Moving on. All right, so last time we talked about sequence, text structure, so we're going to review that one more time. So text structure is how something is written and organized, right? Why does it, if we can learn the different text structures, how does that help us?
So then we know when we first start reading, and then it just helps us. So then if we are reading and we can't find it, then we can find like keywords to help us.
Okay.
And then also if we're like using a certain question and we don't like know what structure it is, like reading the story can actually help find out and help you with the question depending on what structure
That's
it is.
true. Depending on the structure, it can help us. We can find stuff quicker, right? If we can figure out what the structure is initially, right? So I want us to read another article. This one's a little bit harder, I'll be honest. This article is a little bit tougher than the last one we read with sequence. I'm going to have you retell it to me, and then we're going to fill out that sequence graphic organizer. We're just going to use the same one just on the back, okay? And then we're going to see...
It kind of looks like there are, like I just want to go like this, like there's
I know,
markings on there.
I know. So I really like this one. Okay, so we're going to read this a little bit, and then I'm going to have you retell it, and then we're going to fill out our sequence chart and see if we forgot something, see what details we can add. But as we read, try to look for, if you see a signal word, stop and let me know, okay?
Okay.
All right, so who made that built-in eraser?
Well, I already found one right off the bat because there's a date.
Perfect,
So
that's absolutely
in 1858, a stationer named Hyman Lipman
Yep, Hyman Lipman.
patent a newfangled pencil with a rubber plug embedded in one end of its wood shaft. An entrepreneur named Joseph Reckendorf guessed that the pencil plus eraser would become a blockbuster product and bought the patent from Lipman for $100,000, about $2 million in today's dollars. Had that patent held up, Rockendorf might have become a titan of industry. By the 1920s, almost all the pencils sold in America included erasers. So Maybe that.
Yes. Yeah, because we started with in 1858. Now we said by the 1920s. Good spot.
Almost all the pencils sold in America included erasers. But, unfortunately, for Rockendorf, the Supreme Court ruled in 1875 that the eraser-tipped pencil didn't count as a legitimate invention.
Try that one again. As you're close.
Legitimate. Oh, okay. And then that's probably important because that happened in court. So 1875.
Yep.
In the eyes of the court, all that Lippmann had done was combined an eraser, which was a known technology, with the pencil, which was a known oh wait, did I just read that again? Oh yeah, says Harry Petrowski, author of The Pencil, a book on the history and design of the tool. Because Reckendorf lost the case, companies let A.W. Faber could use Lippmann's design without paying any royalties.
Bummer. Why is that a bummer?
Because then, the pencil didn't get any, out there.
What do you mean?
After, the companies didn't want to, sell it and use the product.
They weren't selling the pencil?
No, they were, but they didn't want to use, his idea.
Well, no, they did use his idea, but what's the problem with that?
They weren't giving him credit.
There it was. They weren't giving him credit. He wasn't getting any money because
the court
said he didn't do anything different, right? Good. All right, almost done.
Nearly 60 years after Lippmann's invention, the rubber-tipped pencil became a hit. So much so that in 1915, it inspired a sermon by the Rev. Silas Delmer Conger, who praised the built-in eraser as a symbol of American resilience.
Close.
Resilience and pluck. To keep our past failures ever before us would use us to continue to fail, he said. So, take out your pencil, rub out the mark, and start over again. Petrowski says that even though Americans expect their pencils to come equipped with the erasers, this design failed to catch on in many countries. If you're traveling outside the United States, you may notice that it's hard to find a pencil with an eraser on it, he says. So does our pencil say something about us as a people? A person for a 1922 issue of American Stationer and Office Outfitter thought so. Though throughout Europe the rubber-tipped pencil is practically unknown, they wrote. It may be the foreigners consider themselves less apt to make mistakes than the happy-go-lucky Americans.
Okay, so what's the whole article about?
How this pencil, wasn't known and, how people...
What about the pencil? What specifically? What's the main idea of this whole thing?
The history of the pencil.
Of what pencil?
The eraser-tipped pencil.
Yes, the eraser-tipped pencil. That's important because not all pencils have erasers, though we think they do.
Right,
which is kind of right, because they're here. So the main idea is about the eraser-tipped pencil, right? Now, how is this article organized?
By dates.
Okay, they use dates to organize. So we know that it's sequence. Okay, you retell me what happened in this article.
Okay, so can I look at his name?
Sure. And if you don't say them right, it's okay. Names can be really difficult.
Heyman
Okay.
Lippman made the pencil, and he
Made the
the rubber tip eraser pencil, and wanted to let everyone know about it. So he showed an entrepreneur and tried to see if it would go somewhere, and then the entrepreneur gave him money for it. And then he went to court, and the court said he couldn't get money for his design, but the company would take his design, but he wouldn't get money for it. And then people, I don't know how many years, but a couple years later, people started using these eraser tip pencils and loved using the eraser, so if they did make a mistake, they could erase it.
Ooh.
You okay?
Yeah, that bug went right up my nose. Sorry.
You're fine. And then most of the United States uses eraser tipped pencils, and other countries don't.
Nice. Yeah, that was a great retelling.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so let's fill out this graphic organization. We're just gonna use the back if that's okay. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll see about 5 main events.
Okay.
And see if there's anything that you forgot in your retell. But your retell sounded really good to me. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll start. You can either start first main event or end. The
Okay.
sequence, it kind of depends on what helps us understand it. Still going strong.
Okay, that's good.
So what's the first? What do you want to start with first? It's a big thing.
This one in 1858.
Yeah.
Hyman Lippman made a rubber tipped pencil.
Perfect. Yep. Okay. Event number 1. He invented the rubber tipped pencil. Good.
Should I say invented?
I mean,
then
well,
it's
let's see. You tell me. Does it say that? Yeah. Because was it there before?
No.
Nope. So that means it's new.
Okay.
All right. So he invents the rubber tip pencil.
Mm-hmm.
Right, what's next in our sequence?
His product got bought for $100,000.
Who?
A patent from Lippman.
Rockendorf bought
the product.
the product. Yeah, what do we call that? You keep saying the word. I think you're unsure what it means.
The patent.
The patent. What does that mean? The patent.
I don't know.
It's so. This guy patented a new pencil with a rubber plug imprinted in one end.
Like the maid.
So it's an idea, essentially. So it's not like he has a million pencils that that this guy's like, I'll pay you $100,000 for those million pencils. It's that I'll pay you $100,000 for the idea, so that I can then make it or sell it or do whatever.
So
the next big event is this guy.
I'd rather put his name. So
that's fine. Yeah. The names are tough in this one for sure.
Yeah. the pencil?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Should I say how much he?
Do you think it's important?
Um,
So it says he bought it for $100,000, which would be about $2 million in today's money. So do you think that was a lot?
Yeah.
I think so.
Um,
I think it's important, especially because of what happens next.
paid.
Okay. Alright, so this guy buys it. So now what happens?
By the 1920s, the pencils sold in America with the erasers.
So was it successful?
Yes. Oh wait. They should probably go here.
Okay. It's okay. So we can just write something like draw an arrow where you want it.
Okay.
So what should be before this? I love that you noticed
the court, because
Yes. Because what year did that happen?
before 1875,
What did the court do?
the court didn't allow him to get money for his product, but allowed him to have the idea of selling the pencil.
Like could people still sell this pencil?
Yes.
Yeah,
but he didn't get the money for it.
Yes. So how can we say this? The Supreme Court did what?
The Supreme Court denied.
What did they say that he did or did not do?
As a legitimate invention.
So the Supreme Court in 1875 said that the eraser tip pencil didn't count as a legitimate invention. So the Supreme Court said that what?
That it wasn't a better invention than what it was before.
Yeah, there wasn't anything new here, so there's nothing to patent. Okay?
Okay. So
How do you want to put that?
the court.
Which court? I think it's important which
of
court.
the Supreme.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court didn't count his invention.
So,
Okay. Didn't count his invention. So his pencil was being sold, but he didn't get money.
perfect. That's a perfect assessment of that.
Okay. And then the last thing.
So then you would go back and you said by the 1920s, people were buying
The
their
pencil.
pencils were being sold all over the place. Anything else to add that was important?
Other than like the 19. Oh. That would probably be before
Well,
that.
well
'cause
what
it
happens
said-
in 1915?
It says that it inspired someone to build an eraser to use the one like with an eraser tipped pencil.
So it just inspired people to continue using it. right?
Yeah.
So
Which
do we want
helped
to
it
add
being
anything?
sold.
Do we want to add anything to it, or do we think that this event covers all that? That essentially it became popular.
Now that probably shows.
Yeah. Was there any other events, or is that kind of it? Because is it still popular?
Yeah.
So what could we add to this?
And the erasers are still being used today.
Eraser tip pencils are still being used. That's a perfect summation of it. Good.
Switch.
All right, so if you were to retell it to me again, what happened in this article?
Okay, so Hyman invented a rubber-tipped pencil, and what's his name? Reckendorf. Bought, because I can't remember the word. Bought the idea of the rubber-tipped pencil for $100,000, and then the Supreme Court said his invention was nothing new. So the pencils were being sold, but Hyman didn't get any money for it. And then lastly, the rubber-tipped pencils were being sold in the United States and America, and are still being sold today.
Yes. All right. That was a great summation, a great retell of what happened. The only thing I would say that was a little bit confusing was just that Hyman didn't get any money for it. Hyman, his money was at $100,000.
Okay.
So now
So
he's
he
out of the
didn't get
picture. Who wasn't getting the money?
Reckendorf,
because he bought the rights to it for $100,000, hoping that every time this pencil was made, he'd get some money for it, right? So over time, it would be worth a ton of money. But the Supreme Court said he didn't do anything new. So that's the guy who lost the money.
Okay.
Hyman got paid out right there.
Okay.
Okay? But that was great. But honestly, you did a great retell the first time. You had Hyman made the rubber tip pencil. He showed an entrepreneur because he thought it would go somewhere. The entrepreneur gave him money for it, but then the court said that his design wasn't anything new, so he wouldn't get any money for it. People still use the pencil and love using it. Most of the U.S. still uses it till today. I mean, so you had all the basics. Your second retell, because of the organization, because of the graphic organizer, just had a couple more details, which was great. So, great job.
Thank you.
Great job. I feel like the first time we practiced with sequence, it was a little bit rougher than the second time you're already paying attention.
That's exactly what I did yesterday when I wrote the...
It was. It means learning's happening, which is so exciting. Okay? All right, my dear. So, let me pause this video.